Good evening. I would like to call the February 10th, 2026 informal meeting to order at 1:04 p.m. An informal meeting of the school board has been scheduled for general discussion among board members of educational matters. Do I have any board members that would like to go first?
I can.
All right, Ms. Bonzik.
Okay. So, what do I want to talk about? Day in legislation. Me and Shannon both went to day in legislation. One thing that I want to bring up is I personally feel that all school board members should be able to attend if wanted, and we should budget for them to be able to attend. I feel that it shows unity and strength, as well as important we are trying to get things passed that affect our district. After meeting with our representatives, which was Mr. Holcomb, and yes, we did discuss, Mark, what you had us add on, so you know. After we spoke with all of our district leaders, our representatives for our district, I went and I spoke at House Academic Student Success in support of HB 895, which is exceptional students and video cameras in the classrooms for self-contained nonverbal children. The bill was filed by Representative Chambliss. The bill is video cameras in classrooms that have more than 50% of exceptional students in the classroom. In my opinion, the cameras in a self-contained classroom with nonverbal children protects not only the student and the child, or the student and the staff. So I did speak on that. Yes, Senate bill has been filed too. The other bill that was on there was HB 615. And changes to that is notices to parents with children with individual education plans. And basically what they were saying is when anything happens with a child, our district would have 5 days to get notice to them for different things. I didn't speak on that one, but I stayed and listened to the other two bills that were being proposed. Both bills were proactive for our special needs children. The biggest one would be the cameras. The cameras would come at a mandate that right now, the way the bill is wrote, no funding. So they don't believe the districts need funding for it. So that's something we have to look at. If it goes through, I do feel that it's something that I would like to see be passed. I think it protects our teachers when somebody is accused of doing something that hasn't done anything. And I also think it protects our children when they can't tell us what happened.
Do we know how many classrooms, Ray, that would affect in our district?
So I could tell you.
It depends on the eventual wording and how, if it's self-contained classes or 50% of the class is ESE, that's a big difference in numbers.
50% is what they're saying. 50% of the class would be ESE
So
is what it is right now.
You know, if we have a co-teach class that hits 50%, they would need a camera.
It's the self-contained nonverbal.
If it's self-contained,
If
that's different.
self-contained nonverbal, I think is what Senate's going to push for. The House bill puts it at 50% ESE population with no funding. Now, mind you, it also states that the parent would have to request for the camera to be placed in the classroom.
I know other states, Texas, West Virginia, and Georgia already have laws in place, and Louisiana just passed where all of the classrooms have to have, regardless if they're ESE.
But if we're talking 50% are ESE, how many classrooms are we talking about?
Give me 1 second, I'll tell you.
He's looking.
In our district, you know, trying to get a handle on what the impact would be.
Okay.
Well, they're just very
So we
different
have
numbers.
31 pre-K. We have 11 that are behavioral, which are going to be self-contained. We have 27 resource self-contained. We have 33 moderate self-contained, and high need self-contained, we have 8.
What's our
So we're about 110, roughly.
124.
Oh, that's close. That's a lot. And the camera, from what I know, being somewhat in that business, the cameras themselves are not expensive. The problem would be for Joe Amato in getting each one of them on a separate frequency, depending on how we want to set that up. If we want to do it where the parents can look in the camera and see what's going on, or if we just want it and store it and have it available, God forbid something happens. and what the bill would allow.
Didn't this bill fail initially, and then they've come back and
So
reworded?
it's failed two years in a row. This is the third year they put it back on
What is the
to
reason?
get it pushed.
What is the reason that it's failing?
Well, so Miami-Dade did the prototype of it last year for a year, and some of it was funding because nobody wants to fund it, but and I believe, and I'm not going to put numbers out there, but I want to say that when the representative got up and spoke, there were at least 12 teachers that were caught doing things they shouldn't have done to children on the cameras that they had in. So there was a good number of for pro, how it should be, but I think the bill keeps dying because the verbiage in it. And I think that's why they changed it now. One of the verbiage is that the state wouldn't have to fund us if they mandate for them to put cameras in our self-contained rooms. So that was on the House bill. I haven't read the Senate bill to see if they're going to say no, that we're going to fund, but basically what the representatives were saying was that you can take it out of safe school money or you can take it out of this money to fund it, and that there are funds available. So I think another reason why it failed was mainly the verbiage of it last year, the way it was wrote. And last year when they did do the prototype of it, it said that parents had to request the cameras being placed in their rooms.
Mr. Myers?
So that's sort of my question. If it's mandated, that seems inconsistent with the idea that the parent has to
Right.
initiate a request. So that doesn't sound like a mandate to me.
Right.
So that would sound to me like either you agree with the camera in the classroom or your child goes mainstream in a class that doesn't.
No.
No,
It means that the parent is going to write in and say to the district or to their principal and say, I want a camera in this kid's room, and then we're going to have to do that.
And I would assume again, it's all on how it comes out,
Yeah.
because right now,
Oh, yeah.
it's not, we're talking about hypotheticals here, but
Right.
of course, my initial thing is, okay, so a parent in that classroom requests it. What if I have 5 parents that say no? Is it,
So they
there's gotta be
touched on
something
that.
in the statute.
Well, they touched on that too, that faces would be blacked out. Same way as any of our cameras are used on campus. It's the same thing. That if a district pulls, if we pull something to look at something, they're not showing the camera. Like, parents aren't looking at the camera. This is more so
No.
that the district can look at the camera when there's something that happens.
So they would just block out the kid's
face.
if the
Mhm.
parent opted out.
Yep. If
Well-
the kid was on the camera with them, just as we do if a fight breaks out and there's 7 kids standing there
That's
and
still-
you're showing something, you're only showing the 2 individuals.
No, we don't show anything because
Right.
it takes a subpoena.
Right.
So we don't
We don't
distribute
show.
that. But it would take, on our part, the cameras and the special equipment and technology to do the blurred out part of it,
That's
if that passed. But again, all hypothetical right now.
Yeah,
So-
and when I was talking to
hypothetical.
Joe Amato prior to them going, putting cameras in every classroom could be done, but it's a little bit cumbersome for the different frequencies and the storage of the video and all that. But he said it could be done.
I personally would only like to see them in nonverbal classrooms. I don't care about the other classrooms. I think that your 5-year-old can come home and say, hey, mommy, and you can call the school and talk to. But to me, for a child that can't speak, to have a camera in that classroom and something happen, whether it be by the hands of a student or another student in the classroom, but when a parent says, hey, my son came home today with this problem, and can't tell me, I think your teacher did it, and the teacher never did it, and we're reprimanding a teacher for putting hands on a kid when another kid did it, we could look at a video and say, ma'am, our teachers did not hurt your student.
I think it's an excellent place to start. I mean, I'm in favor of cameras in the classrooms, period. But it is this is probably the proper place to start.
Right. Like I said, other states have definitely followed suit. Ms. Bonzik, could you also share with the board how other districts, they brought all of their board members, and then on top of that, they had something that the students had made and passed out to
So-
say a thank you and as a reminder of their district, which I
yep.
thought was really cool.
Yep. So this year, Ray got to attend. Ray attended with us, which was perfect because Ray jumped in and did talk about our district at one of the representatives, telling them different things that we had going on. So that was really good. But yes, all the other districts come with their whole board. They don't come just one or two people. Pasco County came with their whole board and communications to legislation. Pasco gave a coin. So I've reached out to Mr. Barlow at Nature Coast and asked him if our students could make something for us to take with us next year. So he'll be working on that for me. So that's being done.
It was a
But
challenge coin
it was a
that they
challenge
made,
coin.
which is really interesting.
Yeah, the students themselves have made it. So, and I would like to bring something. We have enough in our county that our students, Chocochatty, different schools could make something, and we could give to our representatives when we go up. I thought that was a
It could be like a signature for her name.
yeah. I
Yeah.
thought that was a good
Really
thing. I like that they did it. And then I saw later they posted on social media. That's where Miss Hawkins saw it, I'm sure. One of the Pasco County boards posted the coin up with all his other coins. Whatever representative it was that they gave it, he had the whole picture of all the coins sitting there.
Did-
So it was kind of nice.
That's a great idea. You know, also, we could make little medallions, and each one of us could be handing them out to teachers in individual schools. It's allowed. We could make it and put it on a lanyard, and if you go into a school and you see a teacher who's doing an exceptional job, you could turn around and hand her one from the school board in recognition of the job she's doing. We almost did that back in 14, 15. But we are allowed to do that as board members. And each one of us could get so many coins to hand out in a year or a month, however we wanted to work it out. We could do that to show our appreciation to the teachers.
That's a neat idea. Any comments
So-
on that?
So I have a question. I had thought up until this year, I just assumed, I guess, because I didn't get told differently, that every year for the legislative, that any of us could go, like anything, that any board member could go. So I didn't know that we couldn't until this year whenever I was asking about it. And I think, Mr. Pender, correct me, but I was told that basically it's the chair and it's the vice that go to the legislative, that the rest of the board doesn't go. So then I asked, well, we have one more that's interested. Could she go too? Because I would like her to be there. And they did say yes. They said we could accommodate that and we'll go ahead and make that happen. But so, and then that's when I had told you, I'd like you to go with us.
But it wasn't necessarily budgeted for, and I know that with budget restraints and such, I thought, well, I know we have a few big things coming up that the board wants to do. And so I said, I think I'll wait it out and go another time. Plus, I had a conflict with my daughter's cheer
Yeah, but
competition.
I didn't realize
But I didn't
that we
realize,
couldn't.
yeah,
So-
that it wasn't budgeted, but
Yeah.
it's not.
I didn't know that either.
I felt guilty about
I
taking
thought-
that too.
When I was told that and said, well, yeah, we can make it happen, but really it's the chair and the vice that go.
Of that committee,
That was
right.
the first time that I realized that my ask was, because anybody who wants to go, I want them to go, because I think it's very important and it's imperative that we're all there. There's strength in numbers, and that we're able to all bring something, of course, to the table when it comes to all of our ask and our platform and our legislative priorities. So naturally, if I hear that another school board member would like to go with us and I would like you to go, I was advocating for that. But
I appreciate that. Thank you.
that's when I got told that usually we keep it to that. So yeah, I think that probably we should have
Budget for that,
discussion
right?
and
Mhm.
Figure out.
Mr. Johnson wants to chime in on
Yeah,
that.
because I think we budgeted for the liaison and the alternate to go,
Right.
which is, well, we could budget next year for the whole board if we wanted to.
And that was
That's what
my
she's
fault
asking
with trying
for,
to
yeah.
get you to go, because
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I thought we all could go.
That's okay. All right. Mr. Pender, sorry, I apologize.
And if board members want to go, I mean, usually like you're able to move from one line to another if there's money left over in a line, so we can do that. And if you want to budget for the ability to everyone to go next year, then just give me that direction and I'll budget
I'll
that.
give you that direction.
Okay.
I'll
Thank you.
second that direction.
I'll third it.
I don't like if the opportunity. I'm not saying that every board member has to go, but I think something like legislation is a big day for board members and for us to go up there. And I just think that I like the way Pasco did it last year when we went up. I like the way Pasco did it this year again. It just unifies us as a whole board. If everybody went, if everybody don't go, that's fine too. But same way with out-of-state ones, I would like to budget for out-of-state conferences. Some of them, I would like to myself personally go to the national conference. I talked to Kelly about it this year. I think national, we get more than just what's at our state level and could bring something back to our district. So, but I did say to her that because they're all out of state and you're going, like this year it's at Texas. Kelly, was that? Where is that? Texas? Yeah, it was at Texas. And I think if we're going to do something like that where we're going out of state, I think 2 board members at least need to be able to go, only because you're in a strange city by yourself, and some of us are women. And, you know, I mean, for safety reasons, to have more than one person be able to attend would be the optimal for out-of-state ones, at least 2. So that would be my other
If
suggestion.
we're going to open it up, I would be in favor of opening that up to the whole board. And I don't know if the whole board would go, but if we had it there, we could or not, you know, and again, same thing.
I agree. I think that I think that if we're not sitting at the table, we're not able we're not able to be able to bring concepts and all of the different things that we're learning from stretching ourselves. And I think that it's been for years and years that we've not diversified and that we stay going to the same one, the same local, and it wouldn't be a bad thing for us to be able to experience different formats and different formulas of what people are discussing and to be able to bring
Networking,
back. Yeah.
networking with other
I
board
think
members
it's
from other
important.
states and what they're doing. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I do think it should be open to all of us. Speaking of which, the conference in March, because I am speaking at that, we were able to waive our cost to, what was that cost?
Over $1,000, right?
Yes. So I got that waived, so no longer do we pay that. So the only thing that we're paying is the airfare, which was right at $400, and the room, which was $240.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Any other board members have anything else to discuss? Ms. Rodriguez?
The bill, well, let's talk about, once again, we just touched on it, but the full-day VPK funding to be added to next year's legislative platform, I think it's always the right thing to advocate for and always the right thing to ask for, but especially for these children and for this district. But in this budget cycle, it's very difficult. It's been filed in both the House and the Senate, but it's not been heard in any committee as of yet. So right now, that's just still sitting there. And then on the sovereign immunity caps, the House bill has passed the House, and it's been sent to the Senate for consideration. The Senate bill is still moving through the committee process, but the Senate proposal is slightly increases the caps, but the caps remain lower than in the House proposal. So on the sovereign immunity, our recommendation naturally is to lobby against it, but we'll have to see where that goes. That will eventually come down to final leadership negotiations. The other thing is our priority needs. When we went there, Michelle and I, we had discussed our platform and to protect the classroom instructional time by further reducing the requirements to conduct progress monitoring assessments as a measure of student mastery of FAST standards. There's been no appetite to make any changes at this time. The DOE has no interest, so therefore there's no bill on that. So that one's still sitting. And when it comes to transportation, we wanted to reduce the minimum distance required for elementary students to qualify for school transportation under the current formula by funding the youngest students living 1/2 mile from their school to be transported. Currently, there's no bill language. No bill has been filed. However, there have been positive conversations with both pre-K through 12th grade with budget chairs about the potential changes to the funding of transportation. So the budget chairs, they have not committed to anything, no definitive language, but that's typical. So that's where we're sitting on the transportation. And then on number 3, we had to provide additional funding to allow school districts to increase salaries for our veteran educators. In the governor's proposed budget, there is an increase to the teacher salary allocation, which does allow for flexibility for veteran teachers. So at that moment, currently the budgets have not been released, but there was a proposed increase to the TSIA in the governor's proposed budget. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes. So those are the things that we did while we were there. Oh, one more thing. Mark wanted me to discuss. He said he would like to see a freeze in FRS contributions, the percentage of salaries. We don't have an FRS proposal from the House, and the Senate's FRS proposal was down slightly from last year. So that will also all be negotiated during budget negotiations.
When you say down slightly, they're going to reduce how much we have to give possibly?
They have to
I mean, is that
negotiate
what you're
that.
talking about by reducing it? Cool.
So
Mr. Myers?
Just a question, did either of you hear any conversations about property tax relief, any of those bills? And because there's a carve-out, every one of these bills has a quote carve-out for education, but that remains to be seen, how that would be implemented. So were there any discussions about that?
Very minimal,
Okay.
very, very minimal. One of them did talk about it in our FSBA. They came in and talked about taxes, but there was no big hit on it. So, yeah.
Curious.
it was just the word was thrown out,
Right.
but that's yet to be seen.
Well, another bill that I kind of mentioned earlier today when we were in a closed shade meeting, but I mentioned that there's a bill coming, or right now, House Bill 127 with the cursive handwriting that will require grades 2 through 5 to demonstrate proficiency in cursive writing by the end of 5th grade. And that, if goes through, will start July 1st, 2026. So that'll roll into next school year, which will make it a formal proficiency evaluation required by the state. So we're going to have to start thinking about that, looking at how we're going to implement that in curriculum. Has our team started talking about how or what that might look like? Will that be during like writing? I'm assuming.
I forward the updates to all the legislation to Gina and Barbara, and we look at it as it progresses, as it moves further. We'll look at what was provided in the past, what we can look at for additional curriculum if necessary, and
I guess right now
put that in
we already
this
have.
budget.
Florida already has in the best curriculum. It has cursive as one of the standards, but it's not a requirement to have.
And what
the
happens
proficiency.
is that little bit that we're touching on it is just a little bit. It's not even enough that they can write a paragraph.
We're not even touching on it.
They're not
Let's
touching
get
on it at all.
No.
So
I'd like to see, I don't know why we have to have a state bill or state law stating that we have to teach our kids to write cursive. I would like as a district for us to move forward and continue to work on that even without a bill being passed or a law being passed, that at some point we do teach our kids how to write cursive writing.
We could create
I
a
mean-
policy.
I just think that
I have been advocating for that since I got on the board.
I
We-
think that a child
You're
needs to
definitely
know how to at least write and read in cursive. I mean, I don't think, now we have state legislators going, okay, we want it, and then they have to pass a test of, they should be at least taught it.
I think
I mean,
I
as a
think-
district, I think we fail our students by
Well,
not
I have
teaching
said
it.
that for years and years and years. So
I
I
think
agree completely. I
Yeah.
think that it's doing an injustice to these students that they
so.
cannot sign
Could we
it
see
in.
that
Maybe-
come back as a workshop to see how we could implement that?
What the
Because
cost for
I would-
curriculum would be.
I would like to see that as a policy. I would be in favor of that.
And when I say we spend money on things all the time that really don't have a whole lot of value per se, and this does. So this would be something that, to me, I wouldn't even begin to object when it comes to even with a cost tied to it. I think it's imperative. I think it's important, and I think we're doing an injustice to our students by not teaching them cursive.
I think we can look at it and start looking at it. However, if there's a state, if there is legislation,
No reason to.
then we probably want to go with what that requires, but we can start looking at it anyway. I mean, if it's state legislation and you guys are talking about having a policy, then we can start looking at that. I just don't want to be going in this direction in our own discussion, and then the state comes over here and goes this way, and now we're going in the wrong direction. But right here, where we are looking at it, we can certainly do that.
I agree.
now.
I think
Well, the
right
session-
now we already have something going. Let's see what happens and what they roll out, and then we can make a decision.
And the session ends by the end of March. So we can start looking at how we would implement it now. And this way, whatever they roll out, it would be nice to have a game plan in place. So if they're looking at second grade or elementary school, to
Second
bring it
through
out,
fifth.
maybe that's where we should be looking at doing it. And even if we don't run parallel to them, if we have the basis of how we're going to do it organized, we can always change it to conform with what they want. Because if the session ends in March, if it comes into effect this July or next July,
No, it comes in this July is what it
depending on
states.
what effective date they put on it,
Yeah.
because they can do it a year down the road. we can still, if we have
Start.
the plans in place, start it this year rather than next year and be ahead of the game. I'm all in favor of that, really. It's a
I-
shame the kids
I
can't sign their
agree.
own name and sign checks.
Or
So, I
read a
agree.
card that you write to them. Yeah.
I'd like to see where this goes with the state, and then from there, I'd like to make sure that somehow that we do get that implemented.
All right, Mr. Pender?
And I think the balance will be not necessarily the cost. I mean, I think if you think back to, if I remember writing in cursive, it was a chart on the wall and some paper that you practiced on. I don't think that's going to be a big factor in it. I think the factor that we have to weave into all this is the time to teach it explicitly first, and then you can incorporate it in what you're doing, obviously, and you practice as you go. But there'll be that additional time at some grade level or a couple grade levels where you have to spend more time practicing that, and with all of the other mandates that are required for reading and different times that the state has already implemented, there's not a whole lot of time in elementary. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying it's something that we have to work through, and I think that the cost, if we implemented it, wouldn't be that much, because I think we could implement it relatively inexpensively for materials, but the time, we have to figure that out in the process. So I'm sure that Gina and Lisa will be happy to work on that.
All right. Any further discussion of other things?
No, let's circle back on what was our decision, what were we looking at for the different trips throughout the year? Because for the majority of the board, usually only a few go different times anyway. So I've rarely seen any of us all attend something at once. What did we make a decision on that if something comes up, say the Texas trip or whatever, then I agree.
Well,
I think all board members should be able to go whether we go or not, and then the next year look at it. But again, every 2 years we have election, and say we have 2 new members or 3 new members at a time. You guys took on 2 new members last time. For us to go to things like that is kind of important, right? Even if you're not on one of those committees, it's a learning experience for
Agreed.
sure.
Well-
So I wouldn't want to say that. I wouldn't want to put it that if new board members came on, I would want them to be able to have, and I don't want to put it on us old board members, like none of us are going to finance this time. We all went, so we don't need to go again, right? I don't want to put it on board members saying you have to go. It shouldn't be mandatory, but all board members
Well, each
should be able
finance, to
go.
clarify, it's all different. So each
Right.
time it's different. So if you can make it, you need to go to that anytime.
There's the FSBA twice a year.
Right.
There's the
Finance,
national
policy,
once a year.
governance.
And what's the other one, the Cobra, the one that you're going to?
COSPA.
COSBA. So there's 3 basic, 4 basic meetings that we probably should make allowances for, right?
Well,
Ms. Duval?
I think it might be beneficial if there's a budget process. It kicks off a certain date. I think it would be beneficial if the board wants to pursue these, that a list be developed of every conference, when it is, and I'm talking, July 1st through June 30th of next year. Develop a list of the conferences, what it would cost per person, and then you submit it to Kelly, who then submits it to the cabinet for discussion. So put your list together. You can coordinate that with all of us. Put the cost. Then you've got it in the budget for consideration.
I can handle that.
and on the finance, it's the same board members from all the counties that attend all of them, because every time the format's different, and they have different speakers, and they teach all different things. So that's one that, if you can make it and you don't have something else planned in your personal life, those are important.
Put it on the list.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
All right. I'll share the list with you guys
Okay.
before
Perfect.
McKelly.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. With that, this meeting is adjourned at 1:34 p.m.